What's up, my fellow geeks? Today we're going to be discussing the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast. But before we do that, I feel I need to address why my face looks so different. It is November, so I am raising some money within the community for Movember and Men's Health. I encourage everyone to go over to Movember.com and donate. Any amount helps. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past 10 years, then you know that the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast has quickly become one of, if not the most popular podcast in the world, with millions of views and downloads every single episode. I'm not going to speculate as to why. I'm sure there's many reasons why that is. For me personally, there's 3 reasons why I fell in love with the podcast. Number 1, the range of people he has on: comedians, politicians, doctors, authors, scientists, athletes, artists, basically anyone and everyone who had an opinion or something to share. Number 2, the long-form discussion. The podcast ranges in length from 1 to sometimes 4 hours. You really get to know someone. You watch TV, these TV talk shows and late night shows. Guests barely have 10 minutes to talk, and sometimes the interviewer ends up talking more than the guest. So it's just a bad way to get to know someone or hear their opinion. And the third reason, it really solidified in my mind that we are all human. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or what walk of life you're in. We all share basically the same emotions and fears and dreams and thoughts. So it really made me feel connected and ultimately more confident with who I am. The podcast is now part of my everyday life, and I look up to Joe Rogan as being a role model, someone who inspires me. He's the main reason why I started to train and compete in the martial arts, and he's the main inspiration for me starting this YouTube channel. So I know you're probably not watching this, but thank you for inspiring me. All right, so today's video, I'd like to go over the top 10 geeky guests to be on the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast. Now, these are not the top 10 geeky guests to be on the podcast. These are the top 10 individuals who I think geeks like myself would enjoy listening to. The list of people for me to pick from was really long, and I had to exclude some of maybe your favorites, but these are my personal top 10 and in no particular order. Number 1, Cliffy B, an American video game designer best known for developing the Unreal series and Gears of War. Find him over on podcast number 61, 112, and 427. Coming in at number 2, we have John Carmack, American computer programmer, video game developer, and engineer, best known for being lead programmer on video games like Doom, Quake, and Wolfenstein 3D, 3 classic video games. Find him over on podcast number 1342. Next, we have Dan Carlin, American political commentator and self-proclaimed historian. Dan has his own podcast called Hardcore History, where he explores topics through world history. He's been on numerous times. Find him on 328-413-847 and 1041. Number 4, one of my personal favorites, Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock is a popular guest on the podcast. He's been on multiple times. He is a British writer and journalist. He is known for his theories involving ancient civilizations, earth changes, megalithic structures, consciousness, astronomy, and astrology. Bear with me here. He's been on a lot of times. Find him on 142, 360, 551, 725, 872, 961, and 1284. But if you're going to listen to just one of them, I would go back to the very first one, 142. Number 5, Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is an American filmmaker, actor, comedian, comic book writer, and author. Kevin Smith starred in the AMC reality TV show Comic Book Men, and he has his own geeky podcast, Smodcast. Kevin Smith has been on podcast number 134, 883, 1123, and 1372. Sorry for the change in lighting, everyone. I've got the sun glaring in my basement here. We're going to keep moving, though. Number 6, Brian Cox. English physicist professor over at the School of Physics and Astronomy at the University of Manchester, so he's a real brainiac. He's best known for being a presenter of science programs, especially the Wonders of series, and for multiple popular science books. Find him on podcast number 610 and 1233. Number 7, this man needs no introduction, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Another popular guest on the podcast. American astrophysicist and science communicator. Director of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City. He's written numerous books on astronomy and physics and science. He recently hosted the remake of the Cosmos series, which was originally hosted by Carl Sagan. And you can find him over on Star Talk Radio, where he discusses astronomy and science with celebrities. He was on the Joe Rogan Podcast number 310, 919, 1159, and 1347. Number 8, we have Lex Friedman, research scientist over at MIT working on human-centered artificial intelligence, deep learning, autonomous vehicles, and robotics. Find him on podcast number 1188 and 1292. Number 9, you are sure to know this guy, Elon Musk. Technology entrepreneur, investor, and engineer. He is founder, CEO, and chief engineer of SpaceX, co-founder, CEO, and product architect of Tesla, and co-founder of PayPal, among other companies. Find him on podcast number 1169. He's a fantastic listen. Number 10, Michael Stevens. American educator, public speaker, comedian, entertainer, editor, and internet celebrity, best known for creating and hosting the popular YouTube channel Vsauce. I highly recommend you go check it out. Find Michael Stevens on the JRE number 528. 2 video game designers, 2 historians, 2 astrophysicists, 2 futurists, 1 comic book nerd, and 1 eccentric YouTuber. That's my top 10 list for the geeky guests on the Joe Rogan Experience Podcast. I highly recommend you go check it out. You can't go wrong with any of the people he has on. And I even suggest listening to people you might not be familiar with or might have an opposing opinion. It's really great to open your mind and get to know someone. Till next time, guys, thanks for watching.